After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I have noticed so far. This is a portable power station. I have been using it as a grab-and-go battery for short trips, as a backup for small stuff at home, and as a way to keep my camera gear, laptop, and a couple of lights running without hunting for outlets. The kind of person this is for is pretty straightforward. If you camp, travel in a car, do photo or video work on location, or you just want something you can pull out during an outage to keep the basics going, it fits that role. I do not use it as a whole house backup. I treat it more like a big, dependable battery that has the common outlets I actually need. What makes it interesting, at least to me, is that it feels like it was designed by a company that expects people to move it around and use it around other gear. I have used other power stations that technically work, but they feel like a toolbox with a battery inside. This one feels more thought through in the little details, like how the ports are laid out, and how the screen gives you the information you need without making you decode it. On the table in front of me, the first thing I notice is the shape and the handle. It is not tiny, and I would not call it light, but the handle makes it realistic to carry from the car to a campsite or from one room to another. The outer shell feels solid. I have bumped it against a door frame and set it down on rough concrete, and it still looks fine. It is the kind of plastic that does not feel thin or creaky when you pick it up. The port selection matches how I actually use a power station. I mostly live on the direct current side for small electronics, like charging a phone, a tablet, camera batteries, and a laptop. Having more than one United States consumer Type-C port matters in real life, because I can charge a laptop and a phone at the same time without adapters. The alternating current outlets are there for when I need them, like running a small fan, a small heater on a low setting, or powering a charger that only comes as an alternating current brick. I also like that I can mix and match without thinking too hard about it. I plug in what I need, then I watch the screen to see the total draw. Setup is easy. I charged it from a wall outlet, and it charged faster than I expected for something this size. I'm not going to turn this into a spec recital, but I will say this. If you have ever owned a big power station that takes most of a day to refill, you will immediately feel the difference here. I can top it up in the morning, throw it in the car, and not feel like I have to plan my whole day around charging. Daily use is mostly about the screen and the buttons. The screen is clear, and I like that it shows input and output in a way that is easy to sanity check. When I run something that pulls a lot of power, I can see it instantly. When I stop using it, I can see the draw drop back down. It sounds basic, but it is the difference between feeling confident and feeling like you are guessing. Noise is another thing I pay attention to. During charging, I can hear it, but it is not the kind of loud fan noise that takes over a quiet room. I have had it charging while I was editing video, and it did not bother me. If you are in a small tent, you will still notice it when the fan kicks on, because a tent is quiet and everything sounds louder. But in a normal room or outside with normal ambient sound, it is easy to live with. Let me talk about a few real situations where I actually used it. I took it on a weekend trip and used it to keep a laptop going for editing and to charge camera batteries overnight. That is where the direct current ports were the most useful. I did not have to bring a bunch of power bricks. I could charge the laptop with United States consumer Type-C, then use the other ports for smaller stuff. In the morning, I still had plenty of battery left, which meant I was not treating it like something fragile that I had to baby. At home, I tested it during a short outage by running my home internet setup and a lamp. That is a boring test, but it is the kind of boring that matters. Internet, phone charging, a light, and maybe a small fan are the things I care about in the first few hours of an outage. It handled that without drama. The main thing I learned is that it is really easy to underestimate how much power certain things pull. If you plug in something that makes heat, the battery drops a lot faster. That is not a flaw of this unit. That is just how electricity works. The screen makes that lesson obvious. I also tried it with a couple of tools in the garage. Not heavy-duty shop tools all day, but short bursts, like charging tool batteries and running a small device that needs alternating current. It did what I needed. What I watch for in this kind of use is whether the unit feels stable, whether it complains, or whether it gets hot in a way that worries me. I did not see anything concerning in the way it behaved, but I also would not buy a power station like this as a replacement for dedicated shop power if I needed to run high-draw tools for long stretches. Solar charging is part of how a lot of people use these, so I spent time with that too. In good sun, it will take in a meaningful amount of power and you can see it on the screen. The practical takeaway is that solar can extend your runtime and help you stay topped up, but your results will vary a lot based on panel placement, clouds, and the time of day. I treat solar as a way to slow down battery drain and sometimes refill it, not as something I can rely on to perfectly replace wall charging. There is also the mobile app side of it. I do not live in the app, but I like having it. The main value for me is checking status and controlling a few settings without crouching down and staring at the screen, especially if the power station is tucked under a table or in the back of a car. I have had apps for other power stations that feel flaky or slow to connect. This one has been consistent for me so far. I still think the physical interface matters more, and I am glad the unit is fully usable without touching a phone. Now for the limitations and the stuff I would change. It is still a sizable object to carry. If you are expecting something you can casually walk around with all day, this is not that. I can carry it with one hand, but I feel the weight after a short distance. I also think you need to be realistic about what you want to run. It can run a lot, but if your plan is to power anything that makes heat for long periods, you are going to drain the battery quickly. The unit is not failing you. Your expectations are just fighting physics. Another small thing is that the fan can come on when you are pulling more power or when it is charging hard. It is not loud, but it is there. If you are recording audio in a very quiet room, you will plan around it. Overall, my impression is that the DJI Power 1000 is a well-built, practical portable power station that fits into real routines. I have been able to rely on it for travel, for work, and for basic home backup without thinking too much about it, and that is what I want from something like this. It is not magical. It is not going to replace the electrical grid. It is just a solid way to keep your important gear running when you are away from an outlet, or when the outlet stops working. If you have questions about a specific device, you want to run on it, tell me what it is and how long you want to run it, and I will tell you how I would think about it based on my use. If this video helped, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your own setup or what you want me to test next. Thank you for watching.